And then he says وفي الصحيح عن حذيفة رضي الله عنه قال يا معشر القراء استقيموا فقد سبقتم سبقا بعيدا فإن أخذتم يمينا وشمالا لقد ضللتم ضلالا بعيدا. حذيفة رضي الله عنه he said يا معشر القراء or القراء. القراء means the reciters literally, but it means the ulama and the students of knowledge, the people of knowledge. They used to call them al-Qurraa because when they read the Quran, they read it with ilm, they learn it. As the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they used to take 10 verses at a time, they would learn them, they would know the rulings of them, they would apply them, and then they would then go to the next set of verses and so on. So they learned both al-ilm wal-amal. They learned knowledge and actions together. The knowledge and actions were not separated. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our sins. So he said, O Qurra, O the people of the Qurra, istaqimu. Istaqimu, that means be steadfast, be on the straight path. Be on the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this deen is mustaqim, is a straight path. It's very clear. And this is like ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Al-istiqama is a very important subject, which is after al-iman, after believing, be upon al-istiqama. As the Prophet ﷺ, when the man asked him, tell me in the deen of Islam something I won't ask anyone after you about it, very clear and very precise. The Prophet ﷺ said to him, قُلْ آمَنْتُ بِاللَّهِ ثُمَّ اسْتَقِمْ. Say, آمَنْتُ بِاللَّهِ, I believe in Allah, then istaqim. That's the command, to be upon al-istiqama. Be upon the straight path. And the straight path is the deen of Islam. Anything else to the right of the straight path, to the left of it, is deviating away from the deen of Islam. So istaqimu. And if Huthayfah radiallahu anhu, one of the great companions of the Prophet ﷺ, is saying that to the Qurra, and mainly for the second generation, istaqimu upon what? Be steadfast and be upon the straight path of what? Who is he referring to? To the Prophet ﷺ and to the companions radiallahu anhu. Follow their way. And this is how this deen is taken from one generation to the other. It's a very strong and connected lineage. And the ulama, they have the best lineage. And the Qurra, as mentioned in the statement, they have the best lineage. It's not a physical lineage, but it's the lineage of ilm. Because they take the ilm from those who before them, and those who before them, they took it from those who before them, and so on. It's connected all the way to the Prophet ﷺ without deviation, without inventing anything, without making up anything. And then he said to them, فَقَدْ سَبَقْتُمْ سَبْقًا بَعِيدًا. Istaqimu, be straightforward on the straight path. فَقَدْ سَبَقْتُمْ. Sabaqtum, that means if you are steadfast and straight on the straight path, you will surpass everyone far ahead. Because if you're going to a destination and you're going on a straight path that reaches this final destination, and you're going diligently on that straight path, you will, versus someone else that is going right and left, and he leaves the straight path to sit for a little bit on the side or take another detour somewhere because he doesn't know exactly the way. Then after some time, maybe he come back to the straight path or not, right? The first case, he will definitely be ahead of him. He will surpass everyone. فَقَدْ سَبَقْتُمْ سَبْقًا بَعِيدًا. That you would, and a sabaq is wasabiqu, race. As if we are in a race, that means you'll be ahead of the race. And as sabiqun, the foremost. The sabiqun are the highest level in Jannah. They are the foremost because they always, they're upon righteousness immediately and they do not delay and so on. Also, you can have the dabt of the kalima. You can say the word instead of sabaqtum, it can be read as faqad subiqtum. Subiqtum in the passive tense, meaning that you have been surpassed. So istaqimu, that means be on the straight path, which is the path of those who before you, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and of course the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, because you have been surpassed far ahead. That means there's no need for you to invent anything. You have been already surpassed by the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, so follow their way. Do not think that you can be ahead of them, that you can be faster than them, that you can be more firm upon the deen more than them, or you understand the deen better than them. This is never going to be the case, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned them specifically in the Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with them, and those who come after them, the only way for them to be in the same level, for Allah to be pleased with those who come after them, they have to follow the way of the Sahaba. والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه. The three categories of those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with: the foremost of the Muhajirin and the Ansar, the people of Al-Madinah, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and the third category, and those who followed them with ihsan, with goodness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with them and they are pleased with him. So when you read the statement, and if you have the book with you, and we have it in we send it, right? Either you read it sabaqtum or subiqtum, right? And both meanings are correct. If you're steadfast, you'll be ahead of everyone. If you're steadfast, you already have been surpassed by those who before you, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, so hold fast to what they were upon. Then he said, فَإِنْ أَخَذْتُمْ يَمِينًا وَشِمَالًا لَقَدْ ضَلَلْتُمْ ضَلَالًا بَعِيدًا. فَإِنْ أَخَذْتُمْ يَمِينًا, if you take the right, and shimalan, the left, indeed you have then been deviated, ضَلَالًا بَعِيدًا, a far away deviation. So the straight path is the deen of Islam, is the way the Prophet ﷺ, is the way the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. You take a right or left because of the many temptations, because the way that the shayateen, they would adorn and beautify things for people, then you have been deviated, far away deviation. And as if you remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that he gave the example of a straight path, as Salat al-Mustaqim, and on both sides, on the right and the left of that straight path, there are two walls with doors opened, and these doors are covered with curtains. So when you're in the straight path, you don't see exactly what's behind the curtain, but there's a shaitan. There's a shaitan, Satan, Iblis. Iblis is the head of them, but there's a shaitan, whether it's from the human beings, from the jinn, it doesn't matter, standing by these doors. And when you're walking on the straight path, he would be, these are the colors to these deviations, to the right and to the left. And then the wa'idullah fi qalbi kulli Muslim, the admonisher in the heart of every Muslim, he would say to him, do not open the curtain, because if you open the curtain, you will enter it. So it's not like do not enter, do not even open the curtain. Because if you open the curtain, you might see things that you might not have any patience or the patience will become very weak, because you see things, and when human beings are weak. So that's why be steadfast and be patient, because the reward is to be sought in the hereafter, and not to base your actions based on what you think of a benefit or avoiding harm, right? Because we have a deen to follow, and the worldly benefit or even religious benefits is not based on what we think or what some people think that this is benefiting. If we do this, if we participate in this, if we do this and that, it's good for the deen, it's good for the community. All of these things has to be with ilm, with knowledge, with the people of knowledge, and not someone that, for example, myself or anyone or even students of knowledge. This has to be referred to kibar al-ulama, to the major scholars of this deen, and not to belittle them as some people. And this is part of the deviation. They try to not make people have zuhd and belittle the ulama, and they think that we know our reality and our situations and our communities better. We're not talking about how to make salah and how to give zakah. This is, yes, a student of knowledge knows these matters, and he should know these matters, and he should teach the people these matters. But when it comes to the things that affects a community, affects the ummah, matters of the deen, how to protect the deen and to be firm of the deen, these situations should be referred to the people of knowledge, the major ulama, based on the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, so that we don't slip away in deviation, as we see that this becomes the norm in many of the people in their lives and their communities and so on. And the same thing again, and This something that can be expanded upon. This issue of being firm and not to follow the ways of Jahiliyyah and the ways of people. Even, yeah, we can go into details of how even masajid are being governed and run and so on. It's not like to be run like churches are being run or like other places are being run. And this is, people get affected by their environments. So how the masajid are to be, establish the deen in it, how our life, how our relationships with others, everything has to be upon the way of the Prophet ﷺ.